you are chilling on the sofa. You know you have work to do. It feels really hard to just get up and do your work. Same happened to me. Our brain naturally wants to avoid effort. Here's where the Zeigarnik effect comes in. The Zeigarnik effect says that our mind has a tendency to continue tasks that we've already started. Once we begin something, we naturally want to keep going until it's finished. So the real challenge isn't doing the work, it's getting started. To take advantage of the Zeigarnik effect, we make starting the task as easy as possible. We set a 20 or 15-minute timer and tell ourselves we only have to work until it goes off. This removes the pressure of thinking about everything you still have left to do. Instead of committing to hours of work, you're only committing to the next 20 minutes. 20 minutes feels manageable. Anyone can do 20 minutes. Once you've started, you'll often find yourself wanting to keep going even after the timer ends. However, do not make this mistake. When you set the timer, don't think that you need to continue working after it ends. Commit to fully work only for that amount of time. That promise is what makes it easy to begin in the first place. If the timer ends and you want to stop, just stop. But most of the time, your brain will want to continue. That's the strength of the Zeigarnik effect. There are two other methods that can strengthen this effect. The first one actually has nothing to do with work itself. It has to do with how you spend your time off. Yes, that's right. The way you spend your non-working time can have a huge impact on your ability to focus. Here's why. Your brain adapts to the level of stimulation you regularly expose it to. If you spend hours scrolling through social media or playing fast-paced video games, your brain gets used to constant novelty and instant rewards. Then, when you sit down to work, the contrast is huge. Work feels slow, your mind starts looking for something more exciting, and staying focused becomes much harder. On the other hand, low-stimulation activities like going for a walk without your phone, reading a book, or simply sitting with your thoughts don't constantly demand your attention. They give your brain a chance to slow down, making it much easier to sustain focus when you return to work. In other words, the quality of your off time affects the quality of your attention. The more your free time is filled with high-intensity stimulation, the less rewarding work feels. But let's be realistic. I'm not going to tell you to completely remove exciting activities. You can still do them in a smarter way. Don't engage in highly stimulating activities until you've finished work. These activities, like scrolling through TikTok or playing video games, leave your brain in a low-effort, high-reward state. Work requires high effort. Sitting down to work in that state is a nightmare. Instead, do your work first, and then do your most exciting activities. You can frame it as a reward after working. However, you can redefine what exciting activities are for you. Your brain gets accustomed to slowing down, being in a relaxed state. At first, low-stimulation activities may feel boring simply because you're used to constant novelty, but that doesn't mean they'll always feel that way. For example, you can go for a walk alone in the park. The first 2 or 3 times can be boring. The more time you spend in calmer activities, the less your brain depends on constant stimulation to feel good. Now, on to the second method. I call this self-negotiation. Self-negotiation means you literally negotiate with yourself in ways that make you do more work. It consists of reducing friction by making a deal with yourself. As we saw earlier, you could schedule watching your favorite TV show after finishing your task, or a session of your favorite video game. When you negotiate with yourself, you make the task feel a lot easier. Your brain now doesn't think, I have to study. Instead, you say, if I study for 30 minutes, I can do XYZ. That's a big difference. You can combine the Zeigarnik effect with self-negotiation. It's really powerful. Say you need to study for a big test. You use the 20-minute timer method. This is what helps you get started. Say the timer ends, but you keep going for 25 additional minutes. Then you want to get away from work. You can negotiate with yourself to make the task feel less overwhelming. How? For example, you can play some music, not fast-paced music, not even music with lyrics. Some relaxed instrumental-only music works wonders. This kind of music doesn't distract you because it's a very soft, steady sound. But that's the key. That sound doesn't distract you, but it keeps your mind from wandering. It's really powerful because it both makes the task lighter and improves focus. So, with the Zeigarnik effect, you've worked for a total of 45 minutes. Then, thanks to playing some music, you go for another 30. Great! You went from not even wanting to start the task to more than an hour of effective work. And you know what? The more you do this, the better you get. What I mean is that, over time, you will go for longer periods of time without even realizing. Using all 3 methods together will completely change the way you work. Let's do a quick recap because I want you to clearly understand how they fit together. First, you need to get started. That's where the Zeigarnik effect comes in. By committing to just 20 minutes, you remove the biggest barrier, starting. Second, be intentional about how you spend your time off. Low-stimulation activities train your brain to be comfortable, without constant novelty, making it much easier to stay focused when it's time to work. Finally, use self-negotiation whenever you feel resistance. Make small deals with yourself that reduce friction, whether that's promise yourself a reward after finishing a task or using something like instrumental music to make the work feel lighter. None of these methods is revolutionary on its own, but together, they make starting easier, staying focused easier, and working for longer feel natural instead of forced. You've watched this entire video. Don't just click on the next one and forget everything you've learned. Put it into practice right now. Whatever task you have to do, set a 15 or 20-minute timer and fully commit to working until it goes off. Then come back and tell me how it went.